What if I told you that every prayer you whisper, whether in desperation, gratitude, or hope, has the power to move the heart of God and even change the course of your life? Think about it. Kings, prophets, and ordinary people throughout history didn't rise through armies or wealth alone. They rose through prayer. And you have that same access today. Prayer is not just words, it's a lifeline. It's how the human heart touches eternity. It's how the broken find healing, the lost find direction, and the weary find strength to stand again. In this video, we're diving into 3 powerful Bible verses that reveal the unstoppable force of prayer. We'll uncover why it matters, how it works, and what it means for you today. Because here's the truth. When you understand the power of prayer, you'll never look at your conversations with God the same way again. Section 1. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. James 5 verse 16. Imagine a single candle in a pitch-black room. At first, it seems small, fragile, almost insignificant. But that little flame pushes back the darkness, changing the entire atmosphere. That's what prayer does. James tells us, the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Think about that. Not weak, not maybe, not possibly, but powerful and effective. This verse reminds us that prayer is not a last resort. It's a first weapon. Too often, we say, all we can do is pray, as if prayer were the weakest option left on the table. But James flips that thinking upside down. He says prayer works. It changes lives. It heals. It restores. Here's a story. Elijah, one of the greatest prophets, prayed earnestly that it wouldn't rain, and for 3.5 years, not a single drop fell. Then he prayed again, and the skies opened. He wasn't a superhero. He wasn't invincible. He was human, just like us. And yet, because he prayed, nations were shaken. Now pause for a moment. What if your prayers carried more weight than you realize? What if every whisper, every tear, every word you send to heaven is already stirring things in the unseen? James is telling you, don't underestimate your prayers. When your heart is aligned with God, when you bring your needs, your pain, your gratitude to Him, it's not wasted breath. Heaven listens. Heaven moves. Section 2. Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33 verse 3. Picture this. A prisoner sits in a dark, cold cell. The world outside has moved on, and hope feels like a distant dream. That's where the prophet Jeremiah found himself, locked away, isolated, and seemingly forgotten. And yet, in that very place of despair, God speaks. Call to me, and I will answer you. Not maybe, not if I'm not too busy. God says, I will answer you. This is a divine guarantee. Heaven's direct line isn't cut off by walls, chains, or impossible circumstances. Jeremiah couldn't see freedom, but God promised him something greater. I will show you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Think about that for your life. How many times do we feel stuck, trapped by our own worries, uncertainty, or fear of the future? We can only see the walls around us. But God is saying, call to me. I'll show you things beyond your imagination. I'll open doors you didn't even know existed. I'll reveal answers you never considered. Here's the power of this verse. Prayer isn't just you speaking, it's God responding. It's stepping into a conversation with the creator of the universe, who already sees the bigger picture. Maybe you've prayed for clarity about your future. Maybe you've begged for healing or for a breakthrough. Jeremiah 33 verse 3 is your reminder. God isn't silent. He doesn't leave prayers floating in the air unanswered. He leans in, He listens, and He responds, sometimes in ways that are far greater than we could ever comprehend. So the next time you pray, don't just expect an echo, expect an answer. Expect that God will reveal unsearchable things, mysteries, insights, and blessings beyond your sight. Section 3. Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. 1 Thessalonians 5 verses 16 to 18. Prayer isn't just something we do when life falls apart. Paul tells us it's a rhythm, a heartbeat, a way of living. Rejoice always. Not sometimes. Not only when things are going right. Joy isn't about what's happening around you. It's about what God is doing within you. Pray continually. That doesn't mean locking yourself in a room 24/7. It means living in constant awareness of God's presence, turning ordinary moments into holy conversations. When you're driving, you can pray. When you're stressed at work, you can whisper a prayer. When you're laughing with friends, you can silently thank Him. Prayer becomes less about formality and more about relationship. Give thanks in all circumstances. That one's tough, isn't it? Because life doesn't always feel thankful. But here's the secret. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It doesn't deny the pain, but it reminds you that God is still good, still present, still working, even in the struggle. Think about it like this. Joy is the posture. Prayer is the practice. Gratitude is the perspective. And together, they form the kind of life that keeps you anchored no matter what storms come your way. So when Paul says this is God's will for you, he's showing us that prayer isn't just something we occasionally do. It's who we become. People who live connected to God at every step. Imagine living that way, waking up in joy, walking through your day in prayer, ending every night with gratitude. That's not just surviving, that's thriving. Here's the truth. Prayer isn't just a routine, it's a revolution. James reminds us that prayer is powerful and effective. Jeremiah tells us that God Himself invites us to call and expect an answer. And Paul shows us that prayer is meant to be woven into every moment of our lives. When you put these three together, you discover that prayer isn't small, quiet, or weak. It's earth-shaking. It's life-changing. It's the key that unlocks doors you didn't even know were closed. Think about it. Every time you pray, you're not just speaking into the air. You're entering the throne room of the Creator of the universe. The God who heals, the God who saves, the God who moves mountains is listening to you. Imagine what could happen if you truly believed that. If you prayed not as a last resort, but as your first response. If you trusted that God will answer, not always in your way, but always in the best way. If you made prayer your lifestyle, not just a lifeline. The power of prayer is not in the words themselves. It's in the one who hears them. And He's closer than you think. So the next time you feel lost, broken, or uncertain, remember this. Heaven is one prayer away.